This is a big subject because I think personally, I think he's one of the top players for the Green Bay Packers. He's, in my opinion, I think he's one of the biggest reasons why the Packers are such a threat. Aaron Jones is a player that I think a lot of people respect. I know a lot of people respect, but I think a lot of people almost underrate to a fault. I think he's one of the best wide receiver, one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. But there's a big question as if he'll be back in the Packers in 2021. Do you think he's going to be back with the Packers?
It's tough. If he's willing to come back for cheap, yes. But my gut and my heart tells me no. Going into the season, it was looking like we almost had to kind of choose if we wanted to lock him up to a big deal or David Bakhtiari to a big deal. And they obviously gave Bakhtiari the biggest contract for an offensive lineman in NFL history, like 5 weeks ago. So that didn't do Jones any favors. A.J. Dillon didn't do Jones any favors a couple weeks ago when they played Tennessee because he kind of went off and had a nice game. So I think the way the Packers would look at it is they saw what they had in A.J. Dillon. You're going to see a lot more of that in the playoffs, I think. Jamal Williams, who's proven he's a very solid running back. And they have a couple other young guys. They still have Dexter Williams, who was drafted out of Notre Dame 2 years ago, who has just been on the practice squad. He hasn't been active all year, who showed he was pretty decent when he played. So if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, no, I don't think he stays with Green Bay. I'd love for him to stay with Green Bay. He wants to stay with Green Bay. He actually fired his agent 2 weeks ago because he couldn't get a deal done with Green Bay. And he hired Drew Rosenhaus, who's, I want to say it's Antonio Brown's agent too, one of the more notable agents to work with big name players, Drew Rosenhaus. But I think that goes to show he wants to be there and he wants to stay there. So it's going to depend. It's going to be, if he stays, it's going to have to be one of those weird contracts where it's really back half loaded and not a lot of money up front. Maybe a lot of bonus type of money, but not a lot of guaranteed money. I don't like the whole movement of overpaying running backs, like, because we've talked about it on the show before. Giving running backs a boatload of money is a bit it can be detrimental to your team when it comes to re-signing other players, and then that running back will get hurt or he won't play as good. So I'd hate to say it, but I don't think he's going to be a Packer next year. If he is, I'd love it, but I just don't see it.
I feel like, by the way, Drew Rosenhaus, he represented Antonio Brown. I don't believe that he is his agent anymore. This is going to be something that I think not only will the Packers keep an eye on, I think the Vikings will too. Every team around the NFL will, because he's a special player. I don't think he's going to be back. I think when you consider the fact of cap space, and you alluded to it in terms of how well the other running backs have played. In the NFL, it's a what have you done for me now business. Yes, he's played well, but at the same time, could they save a boatload of money by not re-signing him to a long-term deal? Yes, they can. And I think if you can get a great amount of production for a fraction of the cost, I think that's what the Packers are going to do. But I do not think Aaron Jones will be back.
One interesting thing, I saw one of the Packers staff writers write, Kevin King, who's also in his contract year. At first I thought, okay, it's going to be Jones or it's going to be Bakhtiari who gets a big deal. But one of them said, okay, now that Bakhtiari's locked up, Aaron Jones and Kevin King are going to fight for who gets a contract and see who plays better in the postseason and the end of the regular season. And I'd much rather keep Aaron Jones, I think, than Kevin King. Kevin King is a good corner. But on the other side of the ball, we already have the number one corner in the NFL, according to PFF. So I don't know. It's a hard choice. Part of me says I'd rather keep King because we have other proven running backs, and it's been a while since Green Bay's had a good corner duo. But at the same time, Aaron Jones is a proven top 5 or 6 running back in the NFL. I think when he's healthy, at number 5 or 6, probably, maybe 4, probably not. But I don't know. He's a good talent, a good guy you want on your team, very good pass catching back, a slasher. Aaron Rodgers loves him. He wants him back. So it's going to be a tough decision, but it's business. So at the end of the day, I think they're going to re-sign King and let Jones go.
Mm-hmm. Like it'll definitely be something to watch, and definitely something to keep an eye on for.